Welcome back to Salt City Counseling, everybody. Once again, my name is Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah. My company is Salt City Counseling. And in this video, I am going to talk a little bit more about narcissism. I know this is a super hot topic on the internet. I do believe that we are inundated, very much so, with a lot of normalized narcissism that is intertwined in society. I talk about some of the normalized narcissism and how and the personal impact on my other channel, Wisdom and Brews. The link is in the description below. So if you like my content, obviously like, subscribe, share. Go check out my other channel, Wisdom and Brews. I would appreciate that a lot. Hit a subscribe button over there too. I would appreciate that a lot. If you like my content, man, you can really help me out. Hit the tip jar. All the links are in the description below. If you are a viewer, you would like a description, you would like to submit a viewer question, emails in the description below. Also, go check out my Udemy courses on high conflict divorce, custody, co-parenting over on Udemy. The links are in the description below. I'm honestly looking at changing platforms. Udemy pays like total crap. This is, I feel like, probably the most expert advice you can get on this particular area, and Udemy is killing me with the payments. So, in this video, I'm going to talk some more about beating the narcissist. People want to beat the narcissist, and it's not, you don't do it how you think you want to do it. People want to get back at the narcissist sometimes. People want to yank them down, knock them down, and I feel like that is the bad road. You end up playing their game and acting like them when you do that. The narcissist does not win when you stoop to their level. They do win. Narcissists actually win when you stoop to their level. But one of the things that I really want to emphasize here is this video I'm going to talk about the most effective tool, the most effective means that narcissists use to manipulate others, to manipulate society, to gather their henchmen, and all of that, gather their flying monkeys. I talk about how narcissists are able to gather their henchmen. It's uncanny. I talk about that in other videos. Go check it out. I think the video is titled something like "The Thing That Bothers Me the Most About Narcissists." But in this regard, right, the way that narcissists manipulate others is by making them afraid. And how do they do that? With anger and personal attacks. And they try to pull apart and scrutinize your behavior. Now, one of my rules, period, whatever your relationship with a narcissist is, whether they are a sibling, a parent, ex-wife, ex-husband, whatever, boss, coworker, whatever, one thing that they do is they often demand that you explain your behaviors to them. And one of my rules across the board is do not defend or explain yourself. And if they find something that they disagree that you did wrong, you said or did something wrong, and they get very upset with you, and you better explain yourself to me. And this is the worst thing that you can do is be like, well, I did it for this reason, or I was just, I'm sorry, or whatever. This actually signals to them that they have you exactly where they want you. That shows fear. This is a fear-based response. And I'm going to tell you some assertive ways to respond instead at the end of this video, so make sure that you watch it all the way through. But the way that they do this is they create fear through the use of anger. They exploit the fact that so many people in society are afraid of conflict. Too many of us are afraid of conflict. Too many of us have got it baked into us that if there's conflict, we believe that we have failed, that we take it as some sort of identity meaning that somehow we have failed as a human being. We're a bad person if we're engaged in conflict. There's a difference between peacemaking and peacekeeping. Peacekeeping is placating. Peacekeeping is shying away from conflict. And the narcissists exploit the crap out of this. Unfortunately, those who are narcissistic are very much dialed into the fact that if you're nice and apologetic, then you're weak. And see, the narcissistic types, they see everything as a competition. Everything. This is why those with borderline, this might be in a whole other video, those with borderline are completely threatened by any and all other relationships with anybody, is because they see it all as a competition. Everything is a competition. And that competitive mindset is what really divides us. But narcissists use fear. And the more fear you show, the more that signals to them that, I just thought of a metaphor, I'll get there in a second. It signals to them you are their person. Right? The narcissist is never satisfied. There's not enough apologies or explanations in the world that will get them to let off. When you explain yourself and you confess more, then it gives them more to pick apart and more to use against you. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, this creates the sense that they cannot show vulnerability. They start to use this as a defense mechanism. So taking responsibility is becoming more and more of a commodity these days, because unfortunately, narcissists see this as a weakness and they will jump on it. Narcissism is a frantic effort to avoid vulnerability. This is what most people don't understand about narcissists. They exercise frantic efforts to avoid vulnerability, which is precisely why they're always after you, so that they can avoid any and all of their vulnerability. But the metaphor that I was thinking of, like, if you ever been to one of those haunted houses on Halloween, I actually love those things. I hate horror movies. I can't watch horror movies. They freak me out. But those haunted houses, man, they're fun. I think the energy there is a fun energy, and that's why I have fun. I totally see through the illusion. But I've basically heard there that there's one rule. If you work there, there's one rule. What you're doing is scaring the customers, do it some more. and so same thing with the narcissist. If you show fear, they're just gonna crank it up to 11, and they're gonna come after you some more. And so one of the worst things that you can do is to show that fear, and we signal that fear by being apologetic, by explaining our behaviors. Like, stop apologizing unless you have a really, really good reason to apologize. Sometimes I notice people over the years, they will apologize like, sorry, when there's no reason to apologize. And I've honestly asked them sometimes, well, for what? I'm not sure what you're sorry about. But the more you apologize unnecessarily, the more the narcissist is going to be like, well, what do we have here? And so the trick to beating the narcissist, as I've said before, is to be free of them. And how do you be free of them? Well, this is the hard part. You cannot be afraid of them. If you can conquer your fear of the narcissist, you will be free. I've noticed with narcissists that I just don't flinch at all. I'm not afraid of them, at least not anymore. I used to be. I mean, it's kind of in the air. It's kind of in the water, where it's like you should, like borderline personality disorder, for example. There's just sort of this hushed cautionary tale, when you're a therapist, like, beware, younglings of the borderline, right? And I realized that once I showed that I wasn't afraid and truly didn't feel fear, I've been fine, completely fine. They don't scare me. Neither does the narcissist. And I noticed with narcissists, when I am completely unafraid, they buckle and fold like lawn chairs. They just crumble, right? You go with the Wizard of Oz analogy here. They go from the big scary green face to the wimpy old man behind the curtain, like that. And so if you're afraid of the narcissistic type, the best thing you can do is overcome your fear. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, first of all, it's a mental game. The more that you find yourself engaging in ruminating thoughts in the fear-based thoughts and being guarded and just trying to justify your behavior, I mean, the more you're going to be screwed. So I'm reading a book right now called Letting Go, written by a psychiatrist, Dr. Hawkins, I think. I read a lot of books. It's a good book. It's not standing out as one of my favorites. It's not one of the standouts, but it's a good book. Anyways, he talks about a couple of really relevant things here. One of them is that if you give people big enough doses of fear consistently enough, you will brainwash them so effectively that it can be almost impossible to break it up, break that apart. There's no amount of evidence or logic that you can put in front of them that will reverse that brainwashing. However, they can do it for themselves. I believe they can do it for themselves. But he also says that the cure for fear is love. I know this sounds a little hippy-dippy. Maybe it's hoity-toity. No, it's definitely hippy-dippy. But love, okay? And I talk about this all the time, man. Self-care. It is so important if you have a narcissist in your life to engage in self-care. Narcissists will criticize you and accuse you of selfishness and narcissism for engaging in self-care. It's irrational. It is their use of anger and fear as a weapon against you to manipulate you. Okay? And there's nothing harmful about self-care. You can engage in exercise, better sleep, better diet, meditation, mindfulness, going to therapy, going to counseling, reading, whatever, engaging in tons of acts of self-care that have zero harm to other people. If you have this sense of like doing that is selfish or somehow narcissistic, ask yourself, does that particular thing harm other people? What harm does that bring to other people? Ask yourself. Honestly, like if I say self-care, go exercise, go do yoga. Is that selfish? It's selfish if you're hurting somebody. Yoga doesn't hurt anybody. Anyone that says otherwise is narcissistic. So the solution is self-love, self-respect, and self-care. There are many, many, many ways to engage in self-care, self-respect, and you start to cultivate self-love. And when you cultivate self-respect and self-love, then you start to cultivate logic, reasoning. Then you chase the fear away. You start to cultivate assertiveness. And I'm telling you, the second that you are no longer afraid of the narcissist, that's exactly when the runway ends. I promise you. Okay? So the real solution to beating the narcissist, not be afraid of them. And then you can live free of them. And you will win. You will beat them. And then you'll see how small they actually are. You'll see how weak and sad and small they actually are. Because they are. They honestly are. And I would have more compassion and empathy towards them if they weren't so awful to other people, especially kids. Like, don't be a jerk. Anyways, that's going to do it for this one. Cultivate that self-care, man. Let go of the labels and the judgments on that. Be good yourself. Open your heart. Let the love in. I got more of that stuff on my other channel. I'm trying to all be like serious and professional in this one, okay? So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.